While lawmakers respond to the Russian invasion today, this tension didn't start overnight. As Ukraine became more westernized and embraced democracy, Russia started losing its influence on the neighboring country.
Well, today, local political scientists say Russia could be setting the groundwork to spread autocracy throughout Europe if Putin is not stopped. Esther Bauer explains this dark possibility.
Well, location is everything in this invasion. What you're looking at is a map of Ukraine, which is the country in white, Russia in light blue, and NATO countries in orange. Ukraine, which is about the size of Texas, has been a barrier of protection for Eastern Europe. It's been holding back Russia from spreading Soviet rule any further. According to Stacy Taninchev, who is a political science expert from Gonzaga University, that protection is at stake as democracy is threatened.
This is a very sad situation for the people of Ukraine.
As thousands flee and Russia moves into the country. Ukraine became its own nation in the early 90s. Back then, Russia still played a major part influencing the country. Today, the people want otherwise.
When Ukraine shifted towards being more democratic and more pro-West and more wanting to be part of NATO and Western institutions, that is sort of a threat to Russian interests.
That threat intensified back in 2014 when Russia invaded and took over the Crimean Peninsula. Today, Dr. Taninchev says Russia wants to take over more of the country and reestablish Soviet control.
Not like necessarily recreating the Soviet Union, but actually installing another leader who is very favorable to Russia and can basically be controlled by Russia.
World leaders have tried to control this situation with sanctions to the economy, military, and elites. But it didn't prevent this invasion. It's a tactic Taninchev says is hard to make work.
It's difficult to use sanctions effectively.
She says the targeted sanctions President Biden and other world leaders are using will hurt Putin. But when you start hurting the people of Russia by cutting them off from the rest of the world, that's really when dictators start to back down.
That is the big conundrum, the debate about sanctions. Because when we use those kind of sanctions, we hurt the people of the country. But when we don't use them, the sanctions we use are less effective.
She doesn't support moving our troops on the ground, as that could lead to a level of devastation no one is ready for.
I feel like this is the closest we've come to, being concerned that whatever move we make, we might end up in another Cold War situation, or worse, a World War III type situation.
And Dr. Taninchev says right now world leaders are stuck between a rock and a hard place. We want to help a fellow democracy who the United States has nurtured for years, but the devastation of getting physically involved in another war is unimaginable. In studio tonight, Esther Bauer, 4 News Now.